resource constraints as one of the global governance challenge. Resource constraints in contemporary global governance refer to limitation or scarcity of resources that hinder the effective functioning of global governance mechanisms and institutions. Resource constraints in contemporary global governance can have several significant impacts. Number one is inadequate response to global challenges. Resource constraints can hinder the ability of global governance institutions to effectively address pressing global challenges such as climate change, poverty, inequality, and pandemics. Number two is increased inequality. Resource constraints may exacerbate global inequality by limiting access to essential services and opportunities for vulnerable population, particularly in low and middle-income countries. Number three is undermine trust and legitimacy. Persistent resource constraints can undermine trust and legitimacy in global governance institutions as stakeholders may perceive them as ineffective or unable to fulfill their mandates. Number four is fragmentation and competition. Resource constraints may exacerbate fragmentation and competition among global governance institutions as they vie for limited funding and support from member states. Number five is humanitarian crisis. Insufficient funding for humanitarian assistance can exacerbate humanitarian crisis, particularly in conflict-affected regions and areas prone to natural disasters. Number six is underinvestment and future challenges. Resource constraints may result in underinvestment in critical areas such as education, research, and infrastructure development, which are essential for addressing emerging global challenges and promoting long-term resilience. And lastly, diminished global cooperation. Persistent resource constraints can undermine global cooperation and solidarity as countries prioritize domestic needs and interests over international commitments. Addressing resource constraints in contemporary global governance required concerted efforts to mobilize resources, promote financial sustainability, and prioritize investments in areas with the greatest potential for positive impact on sustainable development and human well-being. Collaboration among governments, international organizations, the private sector, and civil society is essential for overcoming these challenges and building a more inclusive, resilient, and effective global governance architecture.